British Columbia, we're blessed with some truly incredible sources for food. So the fact that we also happen to produce some outstanding wines, that's really just a huge bonus. We're heading up into the heart of wine country to visit Jeff Van Geest. I've known him for years. He's a chef at Miradoro Restaurant and just an all-round great guy.
Hey, good to see you, man.
You're
Welcome.
Oh, thanks.
Good, how are you?
Excellent, very good. Talk about tomorrow?
Yeah, I think we'll have a drink and then go get some sleep, and we'll get up early and do some bass fishing tomorrow.
Excellent.
Right on. After you.
Look into what makes up a great dish, and you'll find a spark of inspiration, incredible ingredients from remarkable locations, and the story of a chef's journey, each of them unique. All of these elements come together in food that tells a delicious and compelling story. Join Chef David Hawksworth as he explores his region, spending time with an outstanding collection of chefs, sampling their creations and finding all about their origins.
My name is Jeff Van Geest. I'm the executive chef at Miradoro Restaurant at Tinhorn Creek Winery in the sunny South Okanagan Valley, Oliver, British Columbia. Oliver is a beautiful small town in the middle of the Okanagan Valley. It's the wine capital of Canada. We grow some amazing red wines especially, and some beautiful white wines here. And it's surrounded by mountains, beautiful lakes, rivers. Oliver is located at the northern end of the Sonoran Desert. People think of Canada, they don't think of deserts, but we're at the north end of one here. We've got cactus and rattlesnakes and all the things that go with the desert. So this morning we're gonna go out and we're gonna go fish for bass on Vaso Lake, which is near my place in OK Falls. It's kind of my summer relaxation. I like to hit the lake on my way to work. Beautiful little spot, and hopefully we get some bass. We'll go through like deeps and shallows here, so I'll try and keep a set of snags, but it will happen. Bass are like super aggressive fish. They're angry predators. So they get big in here, apparently up to 5 pounds. Let's get one in the boat. Yeah, there we go. Woohoo! Oh, I got off. At least we got footage of fish in here. I grew up in St. Catharines in the Niagara region, surrounded, just like here, surrounded by grapes and fruit trees and whatnot. Production of food was always a big part of my family. My parents, both kids of Dutch immigrant farmers. So my grandparents all had farms. We were picking strawberries and cherries and whatnot. That was a big part of my childhood. When I started cooking, I didn't really think my family had that much influence on me. We weren't, we didn't do a lot of fancy dinners or anything like that. But then when I look back, it was always simple, simple, hearty food, honest food. And a lot of the stuff would come off the farms and whatnot that surrounded us. I was in my very early 20s when I decided to come to BC. I came out just on a whim. I had a friend that lived in Vancouver. I just fell in love with the place right away, and even though it wasn't really a permanent decision at first, I decided to stay long term, and it just became home. And then, I needed work, and I sent a resume to a couple places, and it was a fake resume. It said that I had cooked in Ontario, figuring they wouldn't check my references, and they didn't. And I got hired at the Edelweiss Deli in the food court in the middle of a giant mall. I flailed terribly for the first few days. So I talked to a buddy who was a cook, and he gave me some advice and sort of straightened me out a little bit, taught me how to be a bit more organized, and pulled a few books out of the library, a few professional cooking books, and figured out a few things, enough to not get fired, and then continued to learn from there, and found a passion for it and went to school, made a career of it. So after my fancy start in the food court, I started working in more serious restaurants and worked my way up to eventually be sous chef at Bishop's. Bishop's is a real early leader in local and sustainable cuisine on the west coast of BC, working with local farmers, working with organic produce, very seasonal, and tying that into a really fine dining atmosphere. So he's a real sort of grandfather of that movement on the West Coast, and a real mentor of mine. I took so much away from that experience. I think it's really sort of formed who I am as a cook. So then, I decided to do my own thing. So we got a space on Main Street in Vancouver, a little 40-seat restaurant, renovated it, and sort of put my thing out there for people to experience. In a lot of ways, very successful for 5 years. Took what I had learned at Bishop's, presented it in a little bit more casual manner, and really sort of caught the attention of people on the east side. Unfortunately, financially, we didn't survive the recession. But I think the doors that it opened, the people that I met, the relationships I made from that restaurant make it a huge success. So then my wife and I really wanted to go somewhere smaller, a little bit quieter, and we'd always talked about, having a little farm or something like that, or some acreage. And then we were visiting friends in the Okanagan, friends we would come up and see every summer. They kind of convinced us to maybe give it a try here. And we'd never thought about the Okanagan, and I don't know why. So then we made the move. I came up 3 months before my wife, and during that time I was introduced to Manny Ferreira, who is the owner of Miradoro, and he brought me on board here, and 6 years now, it's been very successful. So Miradoro Restaurant, we do modern West Coast wine country cuisine inspired by the Mediterranean. We really let the ingredients dictate what we do. We work with the produce coming off the farms around us, the mushrooms, the fish from the lakes. We just sort of use those Mediterranean techniques to let those ingredients shine. We always have a selection of pizzas and pastas. Take a lot of pride in the pizza we do. We do a Neapolitan-style pizza, hand-stretched, 3-day cold ferment dough in the fridge, so it's got a lot of character and texture. Pizza is such a basic thing in a lot of ways, and we didn't want to do something that was just really generic. If you're going to do something like that, I wanted it to be really special. Same with the pastas. A lot of care and love goes into cooking pastas properly. You can go into any pub and get a fettuccine Alfredo, and they're terrible, soggy things. We take a lot of pride in those simple dishes. The menu rotates. We change about 5 times seasonally. We always sort of have that we change up the proteins a little bit. We have a couple, 2 or 3 fish, some sort of game, pork, different things like that as our entrees, and then just really build the dishes around with seasonal produce, and just try and really reflect what's going on in the valley at the time. A lot of the wineries up here have restaurants. It sort of adds to the experience for the guests coming to the valley. We're at Tinhorn Creek Winery. We've got a great partnership with Tinhorn Creek. They produce some beautiful wines. We love pairing our food with their wine and vice versa.
I find with wine, it's best to have a first-hand experience. So the chef has sent me off to meet with Tinhorn Creek's sales and marketing manager, Jan Nelson. He's going to tell me about the winery, and we're going to sample some of the wines. Hi, David Hawksworth.
Jan Nelson. I'm the sales and marketing manager here at Tinhorn Creek Vineyards.
All right, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So first off, we've been here since 1993. We're a family winery owned by 2 families. We're one of the older wineries in the Okanagan Valley. We make altogether 14 different wines, but mainly we focus on 6 different varietals. Our most popular wine in terms of the amount that the market enjoys, our customers enjoy, are Pinot Gris and Merlot.
What's happening in here?
So here's our barrel cellar. We have just over 1,000 barrels in here. This is where all of our red wines and some of our white wines come to rest. Usually white wines are up to about a year in barrel. Some of the red wines are 18 months to as much as 24 months in barrel. And we buy barrels from all around the world. And it really depends on what we want to make as to which barrels we choose.
And this is from what year?
This is 2014.
Okay.
It's a little bit more rich than your average Okanagan Chard. This is first vintage off a new block of Chardonnay too. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to get that kind of body off such a new vineyard.
Oh, it's delicious. It's quite viscous too. So Chardonnay, that's a good grape for this area?
It's really dependent on soil type around here. We've found, particularly here on the Golden Mile bench side, that it makes a rich but also fresh Chardonnay. I mean, we make good Chardonnay on this side, but we also have quite a bit of Chardonnay on the Black Sage bench, which is quite sandy.
Yep.
And the Chardonnay off that vineyard got us a gold medal at the Decanter World Wine Awards this spring. We do have some pretty spectacular Chardonnays here along the Golden Mile bench, though, that are coming out, that are really pushing the boundaries of what Chardonnay can do in the Okanagan. Mm-hmm. If you take the Okanagan and you're looking at, what is it, about 170 kilometers from north to south, and you compare that against other wine regions in the world, if you went to France, you'd be going from Lyon to Champagne. So saying, you know, what do they do well? There's so many different varieties within that. Yep. So here in the south of Okanagan, we can make some really good full-bodied reds, Cabernet Franc in particular. And then with the whites, if you go further north, Riesling really takes off. Yep. In this area, Pinot Gris can be delicious, Chardonnay can be delicious. The hard part is, every time you plant something new, it takes you 3 to 5 years to find out whether or not it works. Yep. So some of it is luck, and other parts is a lot of research to see what will grow well here.
An ideal dish to me is one that's balanced, obviously. Personally, I'm not a master of subtlety. I think that the flavors are generally fairly intense. I like taking flavors and developing them further. The flavor of some corn or something like that. How am I going to make the corn taste almost more like corn? Or what's going to sort of bring that flavor further to the forefront? Cooking for me is, you know, I mean, I'm so passionate about it. You know, I'm sort of naturally a creative person. I like building things. I like working with my hands. I mean, I've got these terrible hands that are all beat up, but it's just what I do. I can't help it. I come to the kitchen, I work 12, 15 hours a day, and, you know, I'm just motivated by putting something beautiful out there that people are gonna enjoy. The flavors and the wine and everything coming together to give people an amazing experience. And then also, you know, having relationships with the farmers and the different producers and suppliers and seeing what they bring to the back door of the kitchen and just treating that stuff with the utmost respect and letting those ingredients really shine. That motivates me a lot to do the food that we do and to use good technique, but in a way where the technique doesn't overshadow those ingredients and sort of elevates the ingredients instead. There's always new stuff coming in, you know, discovering a new forager who's got wild greens or something like that. I think it's just sort of new ingredients is where I often get most of my inspiration from.
Jeff is going to walk us through how he makes one of his favorite dishes, paella. But first we're going to look at how he makes amazing chorizo. It's a key ingredient in this dish.
So this is one of the ingredients in the paella we're going to do here. We're going to make a pork chorizo, something we make in-house. You know, we break down a lot of pigs here, so we generate a lot of trim, and we like to make our own sausages.
Nice. That looks like a fun tool there.
Yeah, I was saying earlier, I love the Italians. They kind of make everything look like a Ferrari, no matter what it is, even something as practical as a sausage stuffer like this.
So what did you put in here?
Really simple. It's ground shoulder because it's got that perfect ratio of fat to lean. Paprika, garlic, white wine, and salt.
Nice.
Doesn't really need anything else. So that's that. I'll tie off the end.
And so do you have to let that set age or what?
It's nice to let it hang, and like once we make the sausages, we'll let it hang at least overnight and then smoke it.
Nice.
So I'm going to start now, and I'm just going to decide my length. We'll do something like about that long. And I'll skip over to the next one, and I'll twist it forward. So it's as simple as that. Now I'll just find the middle, and then just
Could be tricky.
wrap it around itself
Yep.
like that.
Very cool.
Yeah, so there's that. So that'll hang up in the fridge for a couple days, and then we'll grill that or something as a feature.
Nice.
Pork chorizo, Spanish style.
All right.
Yeah.
We got a fire pit out behind the restaurant. Dave and I are going to head outside. We're going to cook a paella and maybe a few other things there and make a nice meal with it.
So this is a traditional paella from Oliver, or?
Traditional Oliver paella, yeah.
Okay.
So traditional Spanish in every way, except the ingredients. We've got some BC
These are
chanterelles and padron peppers. I think we'll grill up on the side.
Nice.
Padron peppers are pretty awesome. They're like the lottery of hot peppers. Like 1 in 10 is really spicy, and the rest are just kind of sweet and mild. So you don't know what you're gonna get. Go for it.
Paella is such an amazing dish because, you know, it's delicious to start off with, you know, but then you can kind of work with the inspiration of what's available at the time. So
Basically, slow cooked vegetable flavor base. And I'm gonna add some olive oil to that. It's usually a fair amount of olive oil. The idea being just to slowly cook out these vegetables. This is peppers and onions.
It's smelling good.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna try and not get too much color on there while I soften up those vegetables and get them nice and sweet. Just gonna add some chorizo now.
Okay.
That flavor will sort of get all soaked up into the rice. Put the saffron in now, and then we'll add the rice and the wine. David gets the glory job.
Yeah. And the saffron fluffer.
With paella, you want sort of loose, separate grains, and with risotto, you want creamy grains where you build a sauce up around the grains of rice with the starch from the risotto. We're gonna add some chicken stock, and that'll just slow the cooking down a little bit here. Drop the temperature of the pan. We're gonna add some fresh heirloom tomatoes.
Right, so these tomatoes, obviously probably pretty local.
Yeah, those come from a farm just up the road, 20 minutes out. Fester's peppers, our friend Doug, grows some pretty amazing things.
Yeah.
So we're gonna add a couple pinches of that. So we're gonna add some chicken at this point. This has already been cooked. This is confit in duck fat, so it's nice and rich and beautiful. Clams always take surprisingly long when you cook them this way.
Yeah.
You don't have that really immediate
And you want them cooked too.
intense, yeah. And you don't have that immediate intense heat of a pan with steaming wine in it and whatnot. So it's a little bit slower. It's always deceptive.
You want to keep on cooking those peppers, or do you want to put them
No,
on?
I think that's a great idea.
It has to be delicious. You know, that's first and foremost, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, you just look at that. That's freaking delicious.
And a lot of times delicious it turns out to be beautiful, right? Like you don't have to do much. That's all garnished. It's all it needs.
I think the future of food, I'd like to just see a little bit of a return to like a bit more real cooking and real ingredients, and just a respect for, you know, the farms and people that are raising food properly.
Some peppers in there. Yeah, that's the gold right there, right?
That's absolutely delicious.
Awesome.
Wow. Super tasty.
I got a hot pepper.
Did it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one's hot. Holy cow.